Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another album review. And again, it's Black Sabbath. And this is an album I've wanted to feature for a long time. It's something that came up when I did the Anno Domini box set. Lots of people saying, "Where's the Eternal Idol? Why isn't it in there? It should be in there. All the Tony Martin stuff should be together." And I said, well, it was released before as a double CD set. Even I forgot that had been released in 2010, which is nearly 16 years ago. This album has now been reissued. Record Store Day, I think, was the first day it appeared, as the 2025 remaster. It's an album that came out in November 1987. I remember seeing it in the shops, and I'll be honest with you, everybody, I thought the cover artwork was probably one of the poorest Black Sabbath album covers I'd ever seen, and that did have an effect on me. And when I did buy it, it was because at the time I was playing in bands and going backwards and forwards from Birmingham to London. I bought it on cassette, and it would be years later until I actually bought a copy, another physical copy, and that was the 2 CD deluxe edition with the regular outtakes on it. And this was seen as the remastered version to have. Andy Pierce did it, if I remember correctly. And the new version is the original album on vinyl, remastered, and also on CD, with the 2 B-sides also on here that were on the previous edition as well. So I'm just going to show you the vinyl in a bit more detail and the CD, and then I'll tell you what I think of the sound. A quick look at Black Sabbath The Eternal Idol, looking at the remastered from the original analog tapes, black vinyl. This is the 2025 edition. So I'm going to look at both the vinyl one and the CD version as well. This album came out in, as I've said at the start of the video, in November 1987. I never bought it on vinyl then in the first place, so this is the first time I've ever had a copy. Apart from the cassette version, which I can't find, the first version I actually owned was actually the 2010 double CD remaster, which was the original album plus 2 tracks and also the regular sessions as well. This was the deluxe edition then. You can still probably find this, but this is nearly 16 years old. But I'm going to tell you what I think of the remastering, this one, which is done by Andy Pierce, and the new one at the end of this video. So the vinyl follows the same format as the original. Those of you who bought it, the difference is that the inner sleeve is now just a black paper sleeve. I'm going to change that to a polylined inner sleeve, and what was the outer inner sleeve, which is the lyric sheet, is now a separate sheet. So I'd have liked a polylined sleeve, but I've got plenty of those that I buy separately now. But the pressing is very good. But this has the original tracks on it, so the 2 bonus tracks are on here, which is the CD. The CD folds out into 3 panels, with the CD on the right hand side, and there is a small booklet which has the lyrics to the album in it. There's no essay or anything like that. All there is the credits to the actual this 2025 remaster, and it says remastered by the Bakery. There's no other information apart from that. Executive producers are Ralph Baker and Ben Baker, and at the back is the same credit. So that's the difference between that and this, is that the super deluxe one, should you still wish to find it, came with an essay about the album in itself. Anyway, as I said, most people missed out on this, and I'm saying you can still get it. I don't know how easy it is, but this will be a revelation when I tell you about the sound. So there you go. There's a look at the CD and the vinyl. So what do I think? As I tell you this, I'm also going to give, for those of you who don't know this album, I'll give you a quick overview. For those of you who do know this album, you just want to know, is it worth buying it again? Or if you're new to Sabbath, is this where you come in, or should you track down the other one? So let's do that first, and I'll give you a rundown of what I feel about this album now in 2025. Okay, this I always thought sounded okay. That's the fact. But I played these back to back, and it's remastered. It isn't remixed, okay? Remastered by the bakery. But the sound, to me, through my system, is 100% enhanced and better than this one. You might keep that one if you've got it, because of the Ray Gillen outtakes. But for the Black Sabbath, for the Eternal Idol, for the most definitive version to have, and obviously Iommi has overseen this, this is the one. Why? It isn't because it's louder as a CD. It's because of the actual frequency and the sound itself. Primarily the guitars and the drums. The previous version sounds flat. It sounds not as lively, not lifeless. I mean, this is all I knew up until this, but this is incredible, and it really has breathed new life into this record. The vocals are quite similar, but it's the drums and the guitars that have made all the difference. I mean, the track The Shining, how many of you used to refer to this album as The Shining, or was it just me? But I always did. I mean, I've always kind of thought, oh, The Shining, Eternal Idol. And I think it's because The Shining itself is just such an absolutely killer track. You know, it starts with that picking intro and then goes into absolutely killer Tony Iommi riff. And the drums on this remaster are just massive. It's made such a difference. Great melody, great light and shade. Again, this is the difference with Tony Iommi, and when you class Iommi as the godfather of heavy metal, is just how varied and versatile Tony is. He doesn't just do bone-crushing riffs with just full-on one-dimensional stuff. There is so much going on in a Black Sabbath album. There is so much to explore. The vocals are fantastic. The guitar solo is blues-drenched. There's so much feeling in it. There's so much feeling in Tony Iommi's playing. And then you just go into a typical Black Sabbath riff again. And there are some, I'll mention this in some of the other songs. There's almost in every Sabbath album, there's lots of mini riffs. There are riffs everywhere. As if like there are so many riffs to do, he almost like stopped a song to put in another riff and glued that together before coming back to yet another riff and heading off towards another part of the song. I mean, the guy just does this. He just does this. Ancient Warriors was track 2, classic Iommi riff again. A mid-paced, solid rock song. And again, there's just lots of killer mini riffs all the way through the song. This is an interesting song because it has almost an Eastern feel in the music. And it's also, because of that, the guitar solo has like an Eastern feel. And this is, strangely, this is the first of 2 times I'll mention this. But there is a essence of Richie Blackmore in Tony Iommi's playing on this track in the solo. Check it out. Listen to it again if you think I've lost it, and tell me what you think. Hard Life to Love, very fast rock song, riff-led song. This is a very much an 80s metal type song, and I kept thinking, who does it remind me of now? Listening to it now, and there is a Badlands aspect to this, but the music is all written by Jeff Nichols and Tony Iommi. But there is a Badlands, which is where Gillen came from. There is a Badlands feel to this particular song. Glory Ride, very Sabbath-based riff. Tony Iommi does this thing where he like double bends he plays these triads, these real power chords, the way he plays with his fingers, but he bends the 2 strings together to give the riff a kind of lift and really ethereal feel. He's always done it, but it really comes home on this track. It is a bit AOR metal, keyboard layerings, very anthemic vocals, very angst-driven. This is one of my favourite songs, Glory Ride. Absolutely fantastic track, and absolutely huge drums to it as well. Absolutely fantastic song. Lost Forever is also a brilliant track. Absolutely love that. Side 2 has Born to Lose. No, is it? Yes, it is. It's Born to Lose. This is quite a short song compared to all the others, about kind of 5-6 minutes long. It's a typical Sabbath riff, very much kind of coming from the Sabotage, Heaven and Hell period in some ways. Fast rock song, great riff, great chorus. Again, one of my favourite songs. Nightmare starts with keyboards, lots of tinkling as if it's just trying to conjure up kind of like a 50s horror film. Great drum rolls. It's a slow riff, and this is the one song I remember going back right to the early times when I heard this, where I thought, I'm not sure if this is kind of like overstayed its welcome, or is this where this song's going? Wrong. About halfway through, it turns into a 4/4 rock song. Again, very much Badlands again. You can imagine it off their first album. But it's a great track, great verses, great singing. Tony Martin's voice on this album is absolutely phenomenal. Scarlet Pimpernel is a little instrumental section for Tony Iommi to stretch out using different styles of guitar playing, the acoustic guitar, clean lead, etc., and Jeff Nichols letting him float all that on his keyboards. Lost Forever as a typical chug, 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 chug Sabbath riff. Very fantastic song, great rhythm. Great song to drive to. Again, another one of my favourites. It's a song that could have easily opened side 1 or side 2. It's that strong. And Eternal Idol is the epic. 6.5 minutes long. Ethereal guitar at the start. Doom-laden riff. Really powering back to Sabbath in the early 70s. Very atmospheric vocal and superb stuff. There are 2 songs left, which is the bonus track, Some Kind of Woman, which is a very typical of its time 80s metal song. You can see why it's not on the album. Great B-side though. Very fast, happy kind of riff. So unlike Iommi in some respects. And the last one, Black Moon, the other B-side. If you think about it, and this is what I said the first time I mentioned Richie Blackmore in a Black Sabbath review, but you can actually sing Black Knight to this. Not all the way through, but in different parts, the kind of shuffle that it has and the way that the riff works and the vocal lines, you can sing aspects of Black Knight to this song. But those are the two bonus tracks. But aside from that, this is a brilliant album. And if you're new to Black Sabbath and you love the Tony Martin period, now I say this in all my Black Sabbath videos. Ever since Henry Rollins said you can only trust the first 6 Black Sabbath albums. You can trust every single Black Sabbath album. Every single Black Sabbath album will take you to exactly where you would personally like to go. They are all worthy. All of them have aspects of touching your soul, of touching your heart. You know, Iommi's songwriting, the way he's inspired what's going on around him at the time. This is 1987. But this section, Tony Martin, was with Black Sabbath for a long time. And that's why that Anno Domini box set, which I haven't got around me, is so worth it. And I agree now that this was kind of like the one that they could have squeezed it in different record label, but here it is. And Tony Iommi obviously felt very strongly about it, and it's out. This is the 2025 remaster of Eternal Idol, and it is absolutely fantastic. Now, for those of you thinking, but I've got Anno Domini and like surely they could, missed opportunity. Wrong. You want to know, would you like to know a little handy hint from Phil Aston at Now Spinning Magazine of how you can store away this album so it's with all its other Tony Martin buddies? Watch this. One of the most common questions I was asked when I reviewed the Anno Domini box set was, where is Eternal Idol? Why hasn't it been included? And I kept saying, well, it's because it's already been out, it's already remastered. People say it would have been a shame, all the Tony Martin stuff all in one place. Right then, I'm going to share with you what I'm doing here. I've realised, and this works for both of them, for those of you who are thinking about this, that I can take the new 2025 Eternal Idol edition, 2025 edition by Black Sabbath, and it fits in perfectly on top of all the other Tony Martin CDs, and I can put everything back in place. And there you go. They are now all together. Phil, Does that work with the vinyl set? Of course it does. So here's the vinyl set. I'll take off the lid, and I'm one of these people that always keeps these the stuff that's stuck on the back. And we've got the booklet here, as you remember it very well, and the program. Gosh, what else was there in here? The poster. Again, check out the review because it's a fantastic review. It's a fantastic box set. Well, there you go. Look, The Eternal Idol sits with all the other Tony Martin sets all together in that box set. Absolutely snug, but the lid still fits on it just like that. So that is where the Eternal Idol now sits in my collection with Anno Domini. So there you have it. The Eternal Idol fits in both CD and vinyl in the Anno Domini box set. There you go. Problem solved. You haven't got to find any extra storage for this album. It fits in with the box set you've already bought, and it fits in perfectly. So brilliant, eh? But highly recommended. If you love this album, and I know you've already got it, and I am being completely honest here, because I am very cautious about hinting or saying to people, if you've already bought something, I think you should buy it all over again. But to me, this is the best sounding version of Eternal Idol that's out. That other version is over 16 years old. CD technology has moved on. Remastering techniques have moved on. It's 16 years is a long time. So things have definitely moved on. But this is the one to get. If you just want the album, without any extras, the regular stuff, the demo stuff, I don't play it that often. There's a booklet in there. You can find all that stuff out elsewhere. But this is the version to buy. Whether you buy it on vinyl, because it's been very rare to find on vinyl, and it sounds great on vinyl. So again, I wouldn't try and find a 1987 XX very good condition one. I'd go for this. But this is absolutely superb. Out now on BMG Records. Thank you, BMG. And thank you, Tony Iommi, for persevering and realising that for Black Sabbath, for many of us, every single lineup is important, and we will want them all in our collection. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of your support. And remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Please subscribe, ring that little bell, check out the website, check out the podcast, become a patron or YouTube member. And not only do you get discounts off merch, but you can join our private WhatsApp group with loads of people from around the world, like-minded people who are talking about music, private Facebook group, and come along to our own virtual pub called the Now Spinning Arms, where we meet twice a month just to chat about music as if we're all around the pub like mates on a Friday night. So thank you very much. Keep spinning those discs, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.